Allied Powers DVD review by Big Papa Pump 96. There's the cover. D Generation X, the Freebirds, Edge and Christian. And there's the back. A few more pictures. The Hardys, Brainbusters, Miz and Morrison. This DVD was good. It had tag team matches from every era of wrestling. I mean, back from the oldies, 1970s, Nick Bockwinkel, Ray Stevens. A little bit after that, teams like the Rock and Roll Express, the Rockers, people like that, and then it even went to the Attitude Era, the Hardys, the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, and it even had some matches from, I'll say recently, I believe 2005 is the latest one on here, where Rey Mysterio and Shawn Michaels team up against The Miz and John Morrison. But it's just a good DVD overall. One thing I do like about it too, the setup of it, the way they present it, it has an old school like movie theater feel to it, and that's one real cool thing about it. And even when they're not having matches of tag teams, they they have some spaces in between where they talk about other teams and runners up and aerial of achievement by a tag team, best brotherly duos. So it's just a great DVD. I don't think there's one tag team that was ever decent that they didn't talk about in this DVD. Um, there's the insert right there. There's a lot of matches. There's the front of it. It's got the Rockers versus the Brainbusters rated RKO, and up here it's hard to see is the world's greatest tag team. Back some more matches from Disc 3. Since there are so many matches, I'm just going to go over the ones I believe personally are the best ones on here. The Steiner brothers versus Hiroshi Hasa and Kensu Sasaki, or however you say his name. It sounds like it would be bad because there's two Japanese guys in it, but they put on a good show. And one thing I like about it too, the Japanese have so much respect for wrestlers. After this match was over, the Steiner brothers were presented with two trophies for them being a team. I think they both got individual trophies as well as the IWGP Tag Team Championships. Um, we have Harlem Heat versus the Steiner brothers at Hog Wild, which is where the stands aren't seats, but people drive their motorcycles up and just park by the barrier and watch the match and enjoy the show. And the Steiner brothers were really cheered, and this was one of the only times I can ever really recall that the fans were into the match the whole time. Whenever the Steiner brothers were getting beat down, the people were revving up their motorcycles, getting into the match. They stayed in it the whole time. Um, the Dudleys versus the Hardys in a steel cage match. Somehow it never fails. Somehow they got the tables and they got it into the steel cage. And Jeff Hardy went for a swanton off the top of the cage. Bubba rolled off it, and Jeff Hardy smashed through it, and they got the pin. Um, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard versus Sting and Nikita Koloff was great. I mean, that's when Sting was really, I think, the most awesome, when he had the short blonde hair and the face paint. Um, and then Nikita Koloff he was one of the Russians, obviously, and he was great, pretty good. Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, two of the original Four Horsemen. So when their names are mentioned, that's just legendary. They're great. Here's one of the oldies right here that I was talking about. AWA All-Star Wrestling, Nick Bockwinkel and Ray Stevens versus Red Bastien and Billy Robinson. That was 1972. My mom would just be 1 year old when that match took place, just to give you an idea of how long ago that was. Um, some special features on Disc 2. This is another one of the matches I was talking about, how they go from era to era. Uh, Raw 2008. So that was actually 5 years after I thought it was. I thought it was 2005. It was actually 2008. 3 years. The Miz and John Morrison versus Rey Mysterio and Shawn Michaels. The ending I don't like because I think individually and as a team, Rey Mysterio and Shawn Michaels are better than the Miz and Morrison. But Morrison pulled off the super kick, actually stole Shawn Michaels' finisher to steal the match as well. The last disc, Edge and Christian versus the Dudleys versus the Hardys. You can't put those guys in a ring together and not have a good match. The Rock and Roll Express versus Ivan Koloff and Khrushchev. Uh, the Russians were big, but they could wrestle, and I believe, I've never actually timed it, but I have watched this match before. I believe it lasted over an hour. I think it was like an hour and 6 minutes or something like that. D-Generation X versus Edge and Randy Orton, also known as Rated RKO. It could have been a lot better. I think D-Generation X was really cheated some of the time in WWE. I don't think they ever held the tag team titles, which they should have, because they're one of the greatest of all time. Uh, Tully Blanchard and Lex Luger versus Nikita Koloff and Dusty Rhodes. Some great guys in there. That was a pretty good match. And LOD versus Money Inc. I think they should have picked a different match to present the LOD with, because they had some better matches, I'm sure, than Money Inc., which, for those of you who don't know, was the team of the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase Sr., and IRS. Neither too talented, in my opinion, but LOD, a historic tag team. And I just told you the greatest. There's a lot more matches than that on here. Like I said, the in-between where they talk about teams that don't have matches on this DVD. But it's just a great DVD overall. Like I said, I like the setup and everything. But, that's about it. Like I said, but it's just a good DVD. So, came out in 2009. So, for some odd reason, if you don't have it, you should get it. I mean, I don't have that big of a DVD collection, but this is definitely one of the best ones that is in there. And, I'll make another DVD, pick another one out, and do a review on it pretty soon. Thanks, guys.